I would say the success of Carrier Team 1 is I always knew somebody had my back. I always knew there was somebody I could call. There's somebody out there working this issue. So no matter what came up, and even though in the future, as Bush is getting ready to dock at our shipyard, I know that there's a community standing by at the ready that's going to be willing to help when the problems come up.
When I was in Japan, we had a project manager who came over to manage the project. And what he did to set the project up for success, he would get with all the APSs, all the zone managers, all the PEPMs, make sure that they were aligned with the correct, they didn't have any bow wave, everybody was on point. And because of what he did, he set us up for success. The project started on time and it finished on time. And because of that, I learned from that if I am involved with any type of project, I should get with the ones who are the key individuals to make the project successful. And I take that going forward, and I share that with the whole world.
Carrier Team 1 success story would be the transition of George Washington from an FD&F model to a CONUS-based model in preparation for RCOH. As we brought George Washington around, we had a lot of culture shock, so to speak, going from the FD&F model and the way they did business to the new model and getting into the RCOH. I see this knowledge sharing in the reverse, because George Washington has to go back to Japan, and that crew is not going to really know or understand and be ready for those challenges associated with it. So as we move to the future, this is the medium to get that knowledge back, that core knowledge back to George Washington, so that she can be successful in those FD&F availabilities.
While planning on the CVN-70 docking availability for FY19, we were able to use the KSN network, the marketplace, to ask about SCDs that had never been accomplished at Puget before. We were able to find out from Newport News and Norfolk Naval their testing program, successes and failures, and their successes and failures in installing it as well, so that we were able to integrate those lessons learned into our planning for our install of the SCD that we hadn't done before.
The KMSO reached out to me from a cast member from another project about process involved in pop testing, relief valves, and gauge calibration stuff. Me, been doing this process for a very long time, thought I had the right answer. That being said, when that answer was shared with the other project, the WIM found out from the previous, from the project I was asking, that there were multiple answers to that question from various platforms. That question was escalated and sent up to the KSN, the Ship Force Resource KSN, to finalize that answer or to get to the bottom of it. And it was resolved by the KSN, the Ship Force Resource, and it was implemented on my project. And that was something I thought it was a success story, even when I thought I was right all along to begin with, kind of thing. So I just wanted to share that.
One of the things I would just tell you that any future reactor maintenance officers using the Ship's Force Resources Manual to plan the avail and send in your best in the advanced planning team was very successful to my project. So I would tell you that the book tells you exactly what to do, and the must-dos tell you exactly what to do. If you follow those, you have a plan, and then you execute the plan, you'll be done on time or early, like we were. So very proud of the team that we had, and the Carrier Team 1 manual that we used is what made us a success.
So as a member of the CVN-69 DP availability project team, we discovered a material deficiency in our distilling unit tubes that caused some churn in our schedule. And we're able to communicate our lessons learned and actually utilize lessons learned from other ships who had to replace those tubes to ensure that other ships, as they were approaching their availabilities, could plan for those replacements and not have to react like we did.
We've been writing executability assessments for projects that are greater than 18 months and further out, and it's allowed us to put in some knowledge market needs, and it's helped create an actual tie between executing projects and getting their feedback so we can incorporate it into our planning products.
Okay, so I think the easiest one is the RTD sleeving success. So that was emergent work for us in the RCOH. So we reached out to the knowledge marketplace and found that Puget had the same work, and they gave us about 30 pages of the best debrief we could have ever asked for. trade support, material, cost, all that sort of stuff. We were able to provide that directly to Newport News, saved us weeks and weeks of effort planning that work.
Back in 2003, all of the shipyards came together and did a secondary air containment test review, Newport News, Puget Sound, and Norfolk Naval. And fast forward 8 years after that, we were in a pinch on doing a secondary air containment test on the Eisenhower. We knew that Newport News had performed that test 6 years earlier successfully, and we were able to look at the differences in our test procedures and quickly come through the issue with very little delay to schedule.
This is a story about RTDs. We found the problem on CVN 74 about a year ago this time, and so it came up and we found a repair plan, and it turned out to be more of a fleet-wide issue. So we made the repairs on 74 right away. Then later that same year, we also did 76. We went out forward deployed and did that. And we also did a bunch of other ships. Most recently, we just did CVN 72 on the East Coast, and CVN 75 is coming up later this month. All kind of a process that we learned on one shipyard and kind of farmed out to everybody else. So I think that's a pretty good success story.
We were having an issue with steam plant carbon steel inspections. So we partnered with PAPIA and our partners at Norfolk Naval, as well as our shipbuilders, to propose a plan to reduce and eliminate several inspections that we were doing that were redundant, and so resulted in savings of several thousand man-hours of effort on the project teams, and been a good success for the carrier projects, and we're getting ready to expand that actually to our submarine world. So
I'm here today to talk to you about my Carrier Team 1 story and what I have learned from the Carrier Team 1 community. So there are many opportunities to learn, to contribute, everything that we can do in the Carrier Team 1 community to help Carrier Team 1 availabilities, to help get carriers out on time. I have a particular story. I have a really good relationship with my counterpart on the West Coast. I had an occasion, I was traveling to the West Coast. I needed some logistics information in the area, so I was able to pick up the phone and call my buddy and get that information directly, real time, value added. End of story.